Well, today we're going to be working with fleece on the homestead. Well, today it's colder outside, chores are done, and I've decided that I'm going to do a little bit of carding and spinning today. I don't get too many days to do it, but today I was making time and have already kind of plunged ahead. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of something that I've learned recently about my drum carder. And boy, oh boy, it's changing the game. We've been carding and making bats for a little while now today. And I think I figured out a method that works really, really well for me. And I'm going to share it with you. Now, the one thing that I've learned is that my hand carding paddles are my new best friends. That's exciting. I have two sets of them. And to be honest, since I got the drum carders, I've never used them really anymore. And so I was quite pleased to discover through watching some other YouTube videos and taking the time to do a little more research that they're still going to come in handy. And I should always have them anyways, because if it gets to the point that I don't really want to use the drum carder, or I'm only doing a small piece of some sort of colored synthetic fibers or something like that, at least I have them to do that, and I don't have to clean out the drum carder when I want to use red for one tiny little thing. But what we're doing here is I'm just sort of fluffing. Now, one thing that I want to get, which I don't have, is what they call a swing picker or a boat picker. It's one of those things, I don't know if you've seen one, but it's like a scary contraption that swings back and forth and has nails going in crisscrossed ways so that as the fiber gets pulled back and forth with the boat, it gets pulled apart like what I'm doing here with my hands. Luckily, we are doing 20's fleece today, and 20 has beautiful fluffy fleece. One thing that's very nice about 20, now again, this is our Icelandics, but is she has a lot of that inner soft fiber and not a whole lot of the longer guard hairs. And this makes it very, very simple and easy to just kind of pull it apart. As you can see with our washing method, which I will link above the video for that, no felting at all. This is just fantastic. Few little pulls, and look at that puffy cloud. So I'm going to start getting some of this through the carder, and then I will come back when I show you where the paddle comes in. Now, as you can see, I just put a little bit in there. I'm going to do a little bit more, just so you can see. It goes in and you get a lot of these little kind of stringy, chunky bits. See, there's some there. All right, so there's everything that I have in there. And you can see a lot of these little bits where it's gotten hung up. Now, in the past, what I've done is I've just left those. And I keep going, fill it all up, take it off, run it through again. Run it through again. Sometimes 5 times in order to get a nice, smooth finish. But what I've discovered is if I take this, which is a little bit finer tooth than what these have, and I just lay it gently on and pull this through. Sorry, you're going to shake a little bit. Try and do it slowly so that you don't. It smooths it all beautifully. I'm going to do this a little bit more, but I notice I am shaking you quite a bit. But then you end up with just this little bit on here. You just take that off, put it on the tray at the beginning, and it's going to run through on the next batch. This is saving me so much time because I'm only running it through once. Once, that's it. And I can load it up and it comes off beautifully. I'm going to just show you here. This is one bat. There. Look at it. It's come off perfect after one time through the carder. This is a game changer. I'm now pumping out Rovings like you wouldn't believe. So I'm super excited to get spinning. So there we are. That's my first, well, actually it's my 6th one, but first one on the camera here. I've got it pretty much as full as I'm going to go. But like I said, look how beautiful it is. And that's only once on the carder. The other thing I'm finding is I'm willing to put a lot more on the carder at a time because I don't have to take it off and work the needles, or pins, I guess you could call them, super hard by trying to peel it all off at once. So next step for me is getting this off into a basically a roving. And I do it a little bit different than some. I find, I just loosen this up a little bit. This is the one part that I find, because I'm putting more and more on, this is a little bit tougher than what it would have been before. It's 1/2. Once you get 1/2, it's pretty easy to get the other one. And there we go. So at this point, turn that just a little bit again. Now I'm just going to release it a little bit and move it forward so that you can still see. Basically, I just take it from the end and just tug. Same as what I would if I was working with a strip off of a roving that's big wide. Just take it and just thin it out to what I sort of want to have going through my hands at the time. And then once I've got that all done, I just spin it all up. But anyways, I'm going to get this off into a roving. Basically just slowly doing what I'm doing. I like doing it this way as well because the hairs all stay in that nice, neat, same way. Where I found when I was pulling it off to go through a little hole to make my roving, I was getting them all matted up again. So this is roving number 6. Normally it takes me 6 rovings to do a spool. I am on the spinning wheel. I'm curious because I think some of these have gotten a little bit bigger than what I normally use because I've kind of gotten bold with this method. So I will bring you back when I've got this one finished and the spinning wheel set up, and we'll talk a little more. I will admit it has been a long time since I've spun, and so hopefully it's kind of like a bike. You just hop right back on. But basically I've got my spinning wheel set up. Nothing really changes. I did check my tension on here. It's still pretty good. And you've also got a tensioner here, which realistically, I don't know until I start spinning as to whether that's going to be good or not. But got a little ring on the end of our leader yarn. And we're just going to put it through and basically hope for the best. Wish me luck. Now you can see what's happening there? Oh, it's not spinning. This part here should be spinning, and it's not. So this guy is this one here. You just turn that down, and that lifts this whole section up. So we just keep going. Let's see. That's getting a bit better. Oh, see there, now we've got some movement. Basically, when that spins, this should spin. So I think we figured it out. Now, we'll see if it's like a bike. There we go. We're getting there now. Just needed to work out some tweaks. This is a problem when you things get moved around and you don't really know if it's had a adjustment or a bump. Now we're cruising. So basically you can see I've got a little bit of about 1 inch wide that's starting to build on there. When it starts to creep down the bobbin, you want to move that to the next one because this, if it starts to creep, you're going to end up that this gets really loose, which then messes up with your tension and your spin. I usually spin a Lopi yarn. I find it is very versatile for what I do. It does also blend both the fibers, the fell and the tog with the Icelandic, which is very nice for mittens, hats, scarves, that sort of thing. Icelandic fleece is very, very soft and fine against the skin, but you can also separate that fell and make really, really fine yarn that could do laces and really nice against the skin type clothing. I have yet to experiment too much with that, but I would like to. We'll see if we've got some time this year. Maybe I will give it a shot. But you can see that's just feeding nicely in there. I actually needed this gray. See there, you can see we're ready to move down to the next hook there. Just about at the end here. Okay, so we're to the end of this particular piece of roving. There's my ball that I got talking and did not keep unwinding. like that. So we'll just get some more. Joining them together is actually very simple. You just kind of thin this down and you thin out this end and you just basically hold them together like that. And then what I usually do is I pinch right where those couple hairs overlap. So what you do, pinch, spin so that you get some extra spin in that yarn. Now I'm going to just stop it so that I don't get distracted. And then if you just hold further down and let go, there you go. And it just took the spin right over top of your join of your two pieces of roving, which is awesome. Very simple. But anyways, I'm going to keep going with this and I will bring you back when we see how far my 6 rovings has managed to fill the bobbin. Well, as you can see, we are starting to get close to being full. It's not feeding in as nicely anymore because it's getting full. Super excited. I've almost got this spool done. Get it going one more time here. See if we can get this all in there. There's something very relaxing about spinning. I used to spin almost every night. It kind of was like that therapy for going to sleep. And I need to get back into that. It'd be nice to have a whole bunch of yarn spun and be able to make blankets. The one thing, I was looking up how much yarn I was going to need if I wanted to do a blanket. And I basically need at least 9 of these. So that's a lot of work to make a blanket. I might see if I can get, I'll show you how much I've got here. I have that much left. I'm going to see if I can get it on here. I think it's going to be risky. Can't remember if I've shown this before. See that little white thing right there? That is actually just a sour cream lid that I cut to the same size as the end of the other bobbin. So it allows me to fill this just a little bit more when I do it compared to if I only had that little bit. Usually this gets about 100 grams on it. Most specialty yarns come in 50-gram balls, so a 100-gram one is pretty good. But there we go, we're getting to it. I'm just going to keep you running because I'm really curious to see if I can get this all the way to the end and get it all on there. I'm going to try and go back one more pass. It'd be really nice to get this whole one on here. Oh, her fleece is so beautiful and fluffy. It's just wonderful to work with. It's not feeding in. I'm going to have to go one more over, see what happens. I'm not going to get it, I don't think. I'm trying really hard, but it's quite full, as you can see here. Let's see. Might have to put it in manually. Oh, man, I only have like that left. Just that much. Let's see. Let's see. Trying to keep this one a little chunkier. It's a very fine hairs, and it wants to pull out quite thin. I could have made some really nice sock yarn with it, I think. But next time. So I want to use these for a pair of mittens that I already have on the go. Oh, gonna make it. Oh, let's go back one. There's a little gap there. Let's see if we can get it in there. Almost. So you can see there we've got our spool all finished. We need to start taking this off, but beautiful color. You can see if I pull one of these out, the size that I tend to most often work. It's a great size for mittens, hats, that sort of thing. 20's fleece is beautiful because it's got enough of the black to look that pretty gray, but enough of that soft inner fleece to still be soft, which is wonderful. So we managed to do this with only 5 of our 6 rovings, which means I'm 1 ahead for the next one. The next step here is to get this off of the spinning wheel. So in order to do that, we're going to use my handy dandy ball winder. So you just kind of spool that in there. Put that through there. Turn it this way so you can see. There's these little lines there that you then put the thing through to clasp. And we go this way. So let's see. Need that bit to stay out. And this works really well until you get closer to the end. Then I have to pull the yarn. The spinning wheel bobbin doesn't spin fast enough and it ends up clicking and not going properly. But you can get pretty far. Look at that. And it makes such a pretty ball. I almost feel bad using them. But I started this actually last fall, keeping track of everything that I spin and weighing it and putting it into my binder. So I will add this one to 20's fleece so far. Ooh, we're getting to the point where it's pulling hard. And there's our starting string. Just have to slightly untwist it because it does get turned in the spinning wheel, same as all the other stuff does. Pop that off. And there you have. What I needed that for was to make the second mitten for my set. Here's the first one. It's kind of interesting because it's a natural fleece color. I don't dye it or anything like that. You can see areas where this fleece just changes color naturally. It's a little bit whiter here. We had less of the dark black hairs mixed in with the yarn at that time. But anyways, they're going to be beautiful warm mittens. So I'm excited now. I've got my spool done. I am going to keep going though and making some more because I really would like to have a bit of a buffer so that I can, you know, not have to do this part when when evening comes and I say, oh, I'd like to knit. And then I go, oh, but I've got to spin everything yet. So I think that's one of the things for me is I do need to get a bit of a stash of spun yarn. And I think that's one of my goals for January, February, because in the evenings, I like to be able to just kind of pull something off the shelf and be able to knit. And now right at this moment anyways, I don't have anything on the shelf as a stash. So I have to actually do this portion in order to do it. And then it kind of just becomes one of those, well, maybe another day then, because that's a whole ordeal. So my hope is I'm going to leave stuff out and I'm going to keep going. I do have a video on the go with Annie's fleece as well, where I'm trying to take it from sheep to completely all finished product. So watch for that. That'll be coming out not too long. I'm making decent progress. So hopefully it'll be out soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to get working on these mittens and keeping going with some of the spinning. So stay tuned and yeah, we look forward to talking again soon.